them in point form. One, let me once again confirm to you that the body of the late General David Majur Dak was successfully extracted from Nasir, where he was killed. He was not directly brought from Nasir. His body had to be taken using a speedboat from Nasir to Akobo, and from Akobo, the body was picked and brought to Juba, along with the staff from ANMIS that was killed with him. The body was received at Juba International Airport by the Command of the Defense, led by the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, the Chief of Defense Forces, the Presidential Advisor for Security. Basically, the entire command was at the airport. As we speak, the body is Juba Funeral Home, and plans have started on the process of burial arrangements. So the command will sit and decide when and where he would be buried. And the command also confirmed that he will be accorded full military honors when he is finally being laid to rest. That's point number 2. Point number 3, after Nasir was overrun, and the Assistant Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Gabriel Dwop, who also doubles as the General Chief of Staff for SPLIO, was arrested, along with rest, some components of SPLIO that was integrated into the system during the unification of second level of command, they started fearing, especially those who have been fueling and funding the conflict in Nasir. And that's why those who felt that they had been contributing towards arrest in Nasir by way of mobilizing, by way of providing funds, they took off. Some went into hiding here, some went to the nearest SPLAIO containment areas here in Juba, say Central Equatoria and Terekeka. Some fled as far as Launur areas. And as we speak now, we have the Deputy Director General for National Security, ISB, Lieutenant General Yeda, who was in charge of operations, fled up to Launur area with his bodyguards. And the leadership discovered that, all right, out of fear, whether real or perceived fears, I would like to use your platforms to, on behalf of command, appeal to those who were integrated into SSPDF during the first level, unification of level of command, and all from opposition, from IO, that got integrated into the organized forces, that they are part and parcel of the current security setup, and therefore they have no reason to fear. Practically speaking, technically speaking, in terms of organization, they are part of SSPDF and the organized forces. But psychologically and mentally, they are still SPLAIO, and that's why they took off. So we are appealing to them, to those who even went as far as Launur area, to come back. Those who are around, you come back, come and resume your normal work. Starting from the day this appeal is made and is spread, we are appealing to you to come back and resume your work. You have no reason to worry. That's point number 3. Point number 4 was after Nasir was overrun, our security forces, at first, a big number was dislodged and took refuge at an island called Torjoy. Then the main barracks was captured and divided to 2 sections. We had one section, the armory unit, Malta Dababat, where the commander was held up for all those days. He was at armory unit. Then at the main entrance to Yaradu, there was another armored vehicle that was being commanded by a captain. So these servicemen held their ground until Friday, Thursday. So, during the standoff, the White Army kept on attacking them at the two locations within the barracks. But for those that were dislodged and took refuge in Ireland, they were never attacked again. So, after they stood their ground until Thursday, while we were fighting off, while Gerald, the late Major, was fighting off repeated attacks, an agreement was reached that all those who were held up would be extracted, and the process would be facilitated by enemies. And that was how enemies got involved, but unfortunately, it ended in tragedy. And of course, the Commander-in-Chief of SPLIO is Dr. Yap, gave assurances to our general that was besieged that all would be fine. The leadership of the state and county were involved in the process. Then now, I'm sure you saw some pictures that were circulating when the general was being carried by a group of men in uniform. So at the point of him maybe getting onto the plane, a lot of fire was opened, and unfortunately we ended up losing him, along with 26 others. Let me go back, that was on Friday. But on Thursday, there was a successful operation. The plane landed, and the captain that was in charge of a second armored vehicle was successfully evacuated. So the last one ended in total failure and death. Then now all those who were dislodged started finding their own ways. So as we speak in Wulang, like I said earlier on, we have over 70 in different locations and a big group of 150 intact heading to Gyalachal, where we have our security forces, the nearest military barracks. But the rest got scattered into Wulang County, and this is where the bone of contention is. So they got scattered, they sought refuge in different villages, and they have been given protection by different chiefs, different clans, and different leaders of the White Army. They have been protecting them up to now, including the ones in Akoba County. So, on behalf of Command of SSPDF, let me once again say thank you to all civilians in Wulang and Akoba counties for showing the highest level of patriotism, the highest level of nationalism, for shunning tribalism, for embracing culture and peace, but not culture of revenge. So we say thank you to them for the support they have been giving them. From the day they sought refuge in their respective homes, they have been giving them physical protection, mental security, they have been giving them food, logistics, without even one paying for it up to now. So we are saying thank you to those respective communities, individually and as a group. That's the message from command. And let me reassure those who are still not yet back to us is that we are working very hard to ensure that they are brought to safety, with the cooperation, of course, of the local population that is protecting them. We cannot get them to safety without cooperation and continued support of those individuals and the groups and the clans that took them into protection. So we are coordinating with them and all the friendly forces for them to be reporting to the nearest. For those in Akobo, the nearest military barracks is Wat of Neural County. For those in different villages in Wulang, we have the nearest at Gyalachal, the nearest at Baliet and Malakal. So we'll ensure that we coordinate so that they are taken to the nearest locations where we have presence. We are coordinating, but there is interference, like I said, before some of you arrived. And let me repeat that the interference that we have already registered is that we had agreed with the local population in Akoba County for those who arrived there to be escorted to Wat it was put on hold yesterday after Dr. Riek personally interfered in the process. He had instructed the commander of Division 8, Major General Jim Utonglia, and Utong actually went and sent forces to where our servicemen are being protected with clear orders for them to be taken forcefully to SPLA-IO base at Walgap. The local population refused. Dr. Riek to call the local civilians, persuading them to release them. They said, no, we are not sure that their security would be granted. So they also refused. They said they either would be the one escorting them from point A to where SSPDF is, or they are picked up from where they are direct to Juba. So because there was that interference, Dr. Riek promised that he would provide a plane, an airplane this morning. So we are hoping that it will not end the way it had ended in Nasir. And should anything happen, let the world know that there is already interference from Dr. Riek. Dr. Riek wants to hijack the credit that was given to the local population. He wants to hijack their credit so that he uses it for political leverage or for bargaining. So let everyone know that we are not playing politics. Our primary objective is to save the remaining precious lives. And any political interference that may end up like the one we had in Nasir, the person who interfering should be known. The second information is that, I had said it, but because some of you came late, let me repeat it again. That all along SPLA have been saying that they were not part of the fort that fought us. For those who came late, let me repeat myself, that the officer at the rank of colonel that led the armed White Army attack Nasir and overran it was called Colonel Tor Gille Thorn. Colonel Tor Gille Thorn, until the day he was killed in Nasir, was an SPLA-IO officer. In 2019, he was a lieutenant colonel. He was selected by SPLA-IO to go and attend training of the instructors for the Nasir Unified Forces in Malakal. He was trained as an instructor and deployed at Panier in Bor County of Jonglei State. Somehow he found his way back to Nasir, and just a week before Nasir was attacked by the White Army under his command, he was clearly seen in military uniform addressing members of the White Army and giving them clear instructions that he was going to take Nasir at any cost. And of course he did it. So the question is, this man was not a White Army personnel. He was an officer from SSPLA-IO that was allowed to command the White Army in the fight for control of Nasir. So SPLA-IO is directly implicated. If they were not for it, they would have stopped him from mobilizing, from organizing, and leading members of the White Army. Even he was talking about logistics that he had mobilized. Combat service support logistics in terms of food, rations, and ammunition. There are videos that are circulating on social media regarding all the operational plans they had put in place. So if SPLA-IO, the leadership of SPLA-IO, under Dr. Riek and under Lieutenant General Gabriel Duablam were not for it, they would have stopped him from continuing, and not only that, he would have been held accountable. Because the events were clearly aimed at breaking implementation of transitional security arrangements and peace. But they got away with it. So it is very important for you to come out clearly that SPLA-IO is directly involved and should be held accountable for lives lost in Nasir or elsewhere, and the international community should hold Dr. Riek accountable.